Thank you very much for coming to this meeting of the Clackmannanshire Licensing Board. Before we begin proceedings, I'll introduce who is present at the moment. My name is Councillor Kenny Earl. I'll be chairing the proceedings. Mark, introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Councillor Mark McCluckie. I represent Clackmannanshire West Ward, and I am the Vice Chair of the Licensing Board.
I'm Paul Fair, the Licensing Standards Officer.
Councillor Graham Lindsay,
Clackmannanshire West Ward.
Councillor Forrest on Balsillie, representing North Ward.
Dale Bell, Solicitor at Clackmannanshire Council and Clerk of the Licensing Board today.
There are two other people present here this morning, but they won't be taking any part in the decision-making process. Online, can you introduce yourselves? Obviously, didn't want to talk to us. They're both muted. Or they're not okay.
Somebody check that online can hear us.
I'm just doing a thumbs up, so thank you.
Good morning, Audrey Junior here for the aid for the applicant. I can hear you if that helps.
Thank you. Can I have your name, please?
Good morning, I'm Hardish Purewell. I'm the licensing manager for Tesco's.
Thank you. Councillor Lee.
He has indicated with the thumbs up, please.
Just I want to speak to us. Councillor Keogh. No, we'll just carry on. Okay.
Correct. Before we start, Councillor Earl, I can just say we've got apologies from Councillor Benny and we've also got apologies from Councillor Law. Councillor Law wanted to make note that she's also attended the NHS Fort Valley Board. That's why she's not been able to make it here today. And we also have no representation from Police Scotland. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to item 3 on the agenda, which is the minutes of the previous meeting held on Tuesday, 20th of May. Page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, and page 9. For those present, were there any inaccuracies? Can I accept the minute? Yeah, accepted. We have 2 items on the agenda this morning. The first one is item 4, which is in the name of Tesco Express. We have 3 options here this morning to either grant the license subject to local conditions, or refuse the application. Paul, would you like to introduce the paper?
Yes, good morning. I wonder if the board could indulge me for a second because my laptop has just died. Sorry about that.
We'll have a video next week.
Good morning. As explained, it's an application for a provisional premises licence for Unit 28 at Sterling Mills in Vale and Tillicootery. It's the large retail unit adjacent to the Nike shop. For anybody that isn't familiar with the area, the premises have undergone or are undergoing, and I'm sure Audrey Junior will explain the current position, conversion to a Tesco's Extra store, or Tesco's Express, sorry. And the application seeks provisional grant to make sales of alcohol. The only concerns connected with the application are also seeking to use the premises at some point in the future for home delivery of alcohol. And as highlighted in my report, the home delivery is a matter that the board has considered during their statement of licensing policy, and consider it something that may require necessary to apply local conditions. I discussed the local conditions with the applicant at length, and most recently yesterday a final discussion took place, and the applicant has sought to make very, very slight amendments to my suggested conditions, which I have no difficulty with. They don't change the nature of the compliance, they just change some wording very slightly to fit the business model that Tesco's will be operating under. But I can ask the board to have a look at Appendix A in their application pack, in their board, the paper, sorry. I would normally have had a handout at this stage to show you the amendment. However, IT issues over the weekend has resulted in us having no printer access today at all, so unable to do that. But they're so simple, the changes, that I can explain them. And I'm sure if Audrey Junior could just confirm that I've picked up the nature of these changes correctly, and she'll address you on them if there's any slight differences that I've not picked up. But the conditions are pretty much as written, except in condition number 3, the words "and premises managers" will be removed, and that is repeated in condition number 6. The "and the premises managers" will be removed. The nature of that change is quite simply to put the entire liability on the control of the records on the premises licence holder and not necessarily the individual premises managers, which seems fair enough. The individual premises managers, of course, have a responsibility for the day-to-day running of the premises, and that would include their involvement in home delivery. So removing the wording from the condition causes no great difficulty. They would still have a responsibility to ensure, whilst acting on behalf of Tesco's, that they carried out their duties. And condition number 4, the suggestion there was that the training records will be kept on the premises. However, the word "on" will be changed to being available from the premises. These records are stored centrally and electronically, and Tesco's have committed to making them available to myself or the police or anybody that needs to see them at the store, but they won't necessarily be kept physically on the premises. But again, I have no difficulty with that. We're in a world where electronic records are becoming more and more common and are accessible at the venue, at the licensed premises, so I don't have any difficulty with that. A similar amendment takes effect in condition number 8 and condition number 9, where the records, it is suggested that the records should be retained on the premises, and the wording will be changed to reflect that they'll be available from the premises. Yeah. And the last amendment is a technical amendment that again causes no difficulty for me because of the nature of how the home deliveries are working, that the post office, Royal Mail, when offering a delivery service, their age verified service is a signed for service, but other age verified delivery services, including the third party that Tesco intend to use, are not necessarily assigned for service. Tesco indicated that they've of course got no difficulty with making sure that deliveries of alcohol are only left at the address on the delivery note with an adult over 18 and not left in safe places and things like that in accordance with other delivery methods. However, they've asked for removal of the signed for part of the service, which I have no difficulty. There's many other courier and third party delivery companies that are doing so responsibly without the requirement to have the package signed for. And apart from that, there's no other amendments. As you can see, they have little or no effect on the structure of the licence conditions. I'm still satisfied that these conditions are necessary and expedient for the purposes of the licensing objectives, and they achieve the aim of the licensing policy of making sure that home delivery of alcohol is regulated and carried out safely and responsibly. Apart from that, I've got no concerns. Perhaps one other thing the board should be aware of, the premises have been granted a number of occasional licences, so as soon as they're in a position to trade, and I don't know today what that position is, but as soon as they're in a position to trade, they are able to open and begin trading. The occasional licences have not permitted home delivery of alcohol because I felt it was necessary that these conditions were applied to home delivery. The occasional licences can be utilised for the next, I think that there may well be 3 sets of occasional licences granted, allowing 6 weeks of trade from some point. The occasional licences, I think, have been granted to allow 6 weeks of trade from the the position where they're ready to trade. As I say, we'll get an update, I'm quite sure, on where they are just now, and those occasional licences may have an effect, no meaning. There's obviously a delay period between the final acts of construction and conversion and them obtaining their Section 50 certificate that they would require to confirm the provisional licence into a full licence, and that will be done, out with the board. That will be done under delegated powers when those certificates arrive, and a site visit will be carried out just to confirm that everything is as per the application before the actual licence, the full licence is handed over.
Thank you. Have any questions before? I see no indication. Christina, would you like to address the board?
Yes, good morning again. As Paul explained, it is an application for a provisional licence for a new Tesco Express store. In terms of where it is located in Sterling Mills, it's kind of at the eastern entrance, and it used to be the beauty outlet, I believe, and that shop's now being moved to another unit within the centre. Work is still ongoing. I think they were hopeful that we would get open in October, but it looks like it will now be November, possibly towards the end of November. But we'll keep in touch with Paul and the team with regards to the occasional licenses which you've heard about. The application itself is very much in the standard terms which you would expect for a store of this type. As you've heard, there's a possibility that deliveries might be offered at some point from the shop. We are absolutely in agreement with the conditions which have been proposed, and grateful to Paul for his cooperation in getting the terminology to work for Tesco. There was just one point, I'm not sure if it was picked up when Paul was going through there, just in relation to condition 5. I think the original condition requires the training record just to be supplied on completion of the training, and I had proposed an amendment that just said that that was by the provider, just so that it was clear that it wouldn't be provided by Tesco. But again, it doesn't change the kind of the kind of justification for the condition, and it was in the proposed conditions that I had sent across. They expect to employ about 20 staff at the shop. 3 of those will be personal licence holders, and as I said, they're anticipating launching towards the end of November. We're happy to take any questions that you have, but otherwise would ask your honours to support the application and move grant. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Jenner? I only have one question. Paul, Ms. Jenner mentioned amendment 5. Will that slight change to the amendment 5 cause you any problems?
None whatsoever. We'll address that directly. I think it doesn't specify that the training record and the conditions should be passed on by Tesco's, although it is a responsibility for Tesco's to ensure that their training provider do that. But I think we can sort something out with the amendment to that as required. It causes no difficulty.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. Okay. Well, I would move that we accept this application with the slight amendments that Paul has discussed and Ms. Jenner has requested. I think it's an excellent application. It's going to create jobs, so we should all be behind that one. So, can I have a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second that, Chair, with the conditions and the amendments to those conditions suggested by a licensing officer.
We put it to the vote. All those in favour? I see nothing from Mr. Keel, but we'll accept that. Is the majority accepted? Continue. Your application has been accepted.
Obliged. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to item 5, which is a general permitted extension for the festive period. Paul?
Yes, I have not drafted a report, but I think it's become common practice over the years that I make mention of it during this licensing board hearing. It's becoming a bit of a habit now. Unfortunately, there's a typographical error in one paragraph, paragraph 3.1.2 suggests that the end date is the 2nd of January 2026, when indeed it should be the 3rd of January, as highlighted in 33.1.3. So when the amendments were made to last year's report and the year before and the year before and the year before, as we've done for many years now, that date has just been transgressed, of course. But there's no different with policy. We've had inquiries. So a relatively short period, festive period in Clackmannanshire. It usually is. I find from my experience that fewer and fewer businesses are taking advantage of the extra hour in any case, and there's certainly been no interest in that period being extended any longer than the period that we offer, you know, the Friday before Christmas to the last non-working day into the new year. There's not been any suggestions from any of the trade that they would like it to be longer or shorter. It just seems to be a good fit for Clackmannanshire. I know that previously we've also allowed the previous weekend, but there's quite a distance between, on this year, there's quite a difference between the first weekend and Christmas Day anyway, which is what the policy, the festive policy is always suggested in the statement of licensing policy. So apart from that, I've nothing to add. Of course, the board are at the leisure to change these dates to whatever they see fit on the day if they so wish.
Board, do we have any questions for Paul? Willie, Darren, do you have any questions? No, no response. As Paul says, it's something that they do each year, and it certainly saves a lot of work for the residents to do this. And it also means I don't have to convene meetings every time there's an application coming in, which a number of years ago it became a wee bit onerous. All the meetings were having to have. So I move that we accept the general permitted extension on the days not granted with the typo that Paul has kindly identified. Can I have a second, please?
I'm happy. Second, Chair, on the basis of our licensed officer reporting that he hasn't had any concerns in terms of how they've operated. I'm happy to agree the paper and indeed acknowledge your point that there was a time when we had very regular meetings trying to do different alterations. So I think this is a lot slicker way of dealing with it. So thank you for that.
Thank you. All those in favour? Well, seems there's a few seems to have a problem here.
No, you acknowledge that one.
I think Darren would be better.
Councillor Keogh can acknowledge that as well, right?
No, he must have done him on back this time. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and ladies.